A chef has one vinaigrette that is 40% vinegar and another that is 25% vinegar. How much of each is needed in order to make 60 liters of a vinaigrette that is 30% vinegar? Well, let's approach this problem using our 5-step problem-solving process, and we begin by familiarizing ourselves with the situation. And in this case, we definitely want to define what our variables mean, because when we get to the end, we'll be working just with x and y, and we'll need to know what each one represents. So we'll let x equal the number of liters of 40% vinaigrette, and y equal the number of liters of 25% vinaigrette. Now when we translate this, we want to really organize our information in order to translate what we have to a system of equations. We can use a chart when we translate. And in all these solution mixture problems, you can have a chart that's something like this. First of all, the type of solution. Well, we're starting with two types of solutions. So we're starting with a 40% vinaigrette and a 25% vinaigrette. And we want to end up at the end with a 30% vinaigrette, 30% vinegar. So these are the three types of solutions, the two we start with and our final mixture. The amount of solution, well, we want to find how much to use of these two, but we said that the 40% was going to be x, the 25% was going to be y, and we want to end up with 60 liters when we're done of the 30%. Now this next column here, in this case, is going to be just a repeat of the top. If these had been names, then it would be different. Here we want the percent vinegar, and since we just called it a 40% vinegar, it's going to be the same thing. 40% vinegar in the first vinaigrette, 25% vinegar in the second vinaigrette, and 30% in the final solution. Now the last column is real important in this last row. In the second row, we were looking for the total amount of the solution. In the last row, we're looking for just the amount of vinegar. Well, since we have x liters and 40% of its vinegar, this is going to be 40% of x, or 0.4x. And since this is 25% vinegar, we're going to have 0.25y. And here we'll have 30% of 60, or 0.3 times 60, but this we can multiply out and find that we have 18. So we're going to have 18 liters of vinegar, 60 liters of the total. This second row gives us an equation, x plus y equals 60. Fourth row gives us an equation, 0.4x plus 0.25y equals 18. Now we have the system of equations x plus y equals 60, 0.4x plus 0.25y equals 18. First of all, I'm going to clear the fractions. There's clear the decimal fractions, the decimal places. I have 0.4 and 0.25. There are two decimal places here, so I'm going to multiply each term by 100 in the second equation. Copying the first equation, I have x plus y equals 60. In the second equation, when I multiply 0.4x by 100, I get 40x. And when I multiply 0.25y by 100, I get 25y. And when I multiply 18 by 100, I get 1,800. I could use substitution or elimination. I'll use elimination. I could eliminate x or y, and I choose to eliminate y. I'm going to multiply the top equation by negative 25 in order to have y coefficients that are opposites. That gives me negative 25x minus 25y, and negative 25 times 60 would be negative 1,500. And then I copy my next equation, 40x plus 25y equals 1,800, and add. Negative 25 plus 40 is 15, so I have 15x. This is 0, and negative 1,500 plus 1,800 is 300. Dividing both sides by 15, I get x equals 20. Now I found a value for x, I need a value for y now, and I can substitute back in this first equation. We have x plus y equals 60. X is 20, so I have 20 plus y equals 60. Subtracting 20 from both sides, I have y equals 40. So I have a possible answer of x is 20 and y is 40. To check this, we'd have to look back at our original equation, and we see that 20 liters of one plus 40 liters of another would indeed give us 60 liters of a solution. Now we needed to have 18 liters of vinegar in the vinaigrette. So if we would take the 20 and multiply it by the 40%, which is that how much vinegar was in this, add the 40 liters times the 25%, we would find that we would get 18 liters of vinegar in the vinaigrette, and it would check. So I state my answer, and I may need to go back sometime during this process and check to see how much, which one of these stood for which. Since I wrote down that x was the 40% and y was the 25%, I can write that you would need, there should be 20 liters of the 40% vinaigrette and 40 liters of the 25% vinaigrette in order to get the solution we're looking for.